Trustees Cook,
Here.
Schwartz, Williams, Hebda. Here. Schultz,
Here.
Markworth.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any citizens that wish to address the board tonight? Okay. Remember about the reminder about the State of the Village presentation. That's going to be Thursday, April 23rd, 10 a.m. right in this room, I assume. So, and what we sent out emails or invites or, okay. Probably didn't do one last year, but I think we did one the year before, so. Okay, and it those that don't come, which, you know, I'll understand, you know, we will broadcast it, you know, after the fact, so, in any event. Next item is Arbor Day Proclamation. When is Arbor Day?
May 9th.
Does anybody know? I mean, staff, I mean,
May 9th.
probably in the proclamation.
Yep.
It's the Saturday after May 8th.
Hey, I'm a little rusty. We haven't done a meeting in a couple of weeks, right? Okay. Arbor Day Proclamation, Village of Vernon Hills, a Tree City, USA community. Having recognized the economic, aesthetic, and environmental value a thriving community forest brings to its residents and visitors. The Village of Vernon Hills has and continues to be committed to reforestation of land within its corporate boundaries and to prudent management of its existing forest resources. Village of Vernon Hills shall continue to enhance its reforestation and forestry management policies and practices and shall continue to dedicate financial resources over and above Tree City USA requirements. The Tree City USA flag shall be flown at the Public Works Building on Arbor Day, April 24th, 2015, to honor those residents and volunteers who have participated in the program of activities sponsored by the village. Be it therefore resolved, I, Roger Byrne, President of the Village of Vernon Hills, do hereby proclaim that the Village of Vernon Hills shall officially observe Arbor Day on Saturday, May 9th, 2015, and encourage citizens to participate in appropriate activities and to take advantage of benefits of the parks and other natural areas in our communities. Anyway, which leads me to, we're going to start cutting down ash trees again, right? You know, because I saw on the agenda tonight, well, we got the nursery bill for $135,000 for, I assume, replacement trees, right?
For replacement trees.
Yeah.
After this year, we'll have, out of the 3,600 trees, we will be at approximately 3,600 trees. We would have replaced about 3,200 trees. So we're very close to have completed getting through the ash borer problem.
Yeah. You know, and is there any hope for, you know, places or homeowners that haven't taken them down that they will survive if they treat them in any way, shape, or form? There seems to be...
We've had a few years under our belts that people have done the right steps of trying to use triage and have them actually injected and not just poured along the trunk. And we really haven't seen really good success with that. A lot of it's deferred or pushed out the life of the trees, but ultimately their survivability is in question.
Yeah, so, you know, those watching at home, if there's woodpeckers attacking your ash tree, you're in trouble.
Got a problem.
And especially, too, if you don't get the bloom at the top, right? Yes, so.
Yes.
I have a couple of neighbors that are holding out hope.
On a positive note, though.
And on this subject?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On a positive note, we now have tons and tons of mulch for the residents to come and get. You don't need to pay for any mulch. It's available.
No shortage.
Yep.
Okay, that's point well taken. All right, well, let's see. Proclamation in support of Breathe Deep North Shore Day on April 26th. Okay. In support of the Breathe Deep North Shore Day on April 26, 2015, lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in both men and women, claiming approximately 160,000 lives each year, which is more than the next 3 deadliest cancers combined. Lung cancer is a devastating disease that can afflict anyone regardless of smoking history, gender, or ethnicity. Lung cancer has only a 17% 5-year survival rate, and funding for lung cancer research lags far behind that of other less fatal diseases. Breathe Deep North Shore is a 5K fun run, 2-mile walk, and balloon launch to unite the North Shore community to raising awareness and crucial funds for lung cancer research. Longevity Foundation, the nation's largest lung cancer-focused nonprofit organization, has a mission to have an immediate impact on improving the quality of life and survivorship of people with lung cancer by accelerating research into early detection and more effective treatments, as well as provide community support and education for all those affected by the disease. And I'm going to say it right this time, it's breath, right? No, it doesn't sound right, does it? Breath deep?
Breath deep, breathe deep.
Yeah, okay, well, why'd they put the E on it then? Okay, Breathe Deep, okay, well, that was right in the first place. All right, Breathe Deep North Shore will honor the memories of longevity founders Melissa Zagan and Gail Levy, and others in the community who lost their lives to lung cancer. This event will also pay tribute to Jill Feldman and others who are currently fighting lung cancer. The Village of Vernon Hills demonstrates its commitment by making lung cancer a public health priority and supporting advocacy work on behalf of lung cancer patients and all those at risk for the disease, and by offering support for all those in our community devastated by lung cancer. Now, therefore, President Roger Byrne and Board of Trustees do hereby support Breathe Deep North Shore Day and urge citizens to recognize and participate in the event to be held on April 26, 2015 at Deerfield High School. Okay. Assistant Village Manager, 2015 yard waste rates.
Thank you. Advanced Disposal has agreed to carry over its 2014 yard waste rates for the 2015 season. The rates will be $2.22 per sticker or $12.68 per unit per month for up to 6 containers. Once a week pickup began April 1st and will end on November 30th. The deadline for sign up is May 31st, and residents can sign up online via Advanced Disposal's website, which is advanceddisposal.com.
Where can someone buy the stickers?
They can buy them, I believe, both at Village Hall and various retailers.
Like Mariano's?
Yes.
You sure?
I believe so.
With a reasonable degree of certainty, or
Yeah,
Hobby Lobby? Think so?
I think so.
Okay, well, I know Mariano's, I think, because my wife buys them there. I don't, where else can you, I don't know.
I think they're available.
Do we got a list? We should.
I think they're available at the Park District too, if I'm not mistaken, at the Sullivan Center. And
We will confirm the locations, and we'll make sure that's posted on our village website.
Okay, is that about it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. And Dave is here, but he doesn't have a talking part yet. Okay. Omnibus vote agenda, is there approval? Oh, the chief. Oh, that's right. Internet transaction safe zone. That's right. We talked about that after, what was it, Trustee Schultz brought up to?
Yes, sir.
It's
Yeah.
not the chief. It's Deputy Chief.
It's a fill-in.
Deputy Chief Rick Davies.
Yeah, after some discussion with trustee Schultz, we did some research on the internet safety transaction zone, and we have, as effective April 1st, the police department has implemented the program at our police department. We sent out a media press release. It's also on our webpage to advise people on how to handle that situation. So it's an ability to give people that conduct transactions over Craigslist, eBay, or similar internet sites a safe place to exchange the property is what it is.
So like if you're selling a car,
So if you're selling a car, you can come to our parking lot and make the exchange in a safe place.
and they alert the police we're here making the,
They can come in and tell us that they're out in the lot, that they're making this transaction. The only thing is that we did some research and we learned that we will not be able to run serial numbers via the state computer system. Originally, we were hoping that we could,
I
but.
mean, like on cars?
Yeah, cars, or let's say if somebody wanted to sell you an iPhone or something like that, there is a database where all the stolen items are collected. We will not be able to run the serial number on those items.
Is there
It's a
any reason
state,
for this?
state-regulated system, and it's only for criminal justice purposes.
Seems
Maybe
to me that'd be a good way to catch somebody.
I understand, but we
That
don't,
sounds like criminal justice to me, catching them, just off the top of my head.
Hey, don't
Yeah.
stretch it that much.
maybe a state representative would want to look into that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, but at least people know to give them,
yeah, they can use our lobby.
peace of mind and, if they're by themselves or elderly or what have you.
Correct, they can use the lobby or the parking lot to make their transactions.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
We can see if we get that changed.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, now, omnibus vote agenda, is there a motion to approve items A through Y?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Does anybody want to pull anything?
No, I'd just like to acknowledge the fact that we're looking at about $1.7 million for the early payment on some bonds. So this month's payment is rather significant insofar as our typical month is usually $500,000, give or take. This is significantly higher, but in the long term, as we've discussed before, that's going to yield some great benefits to us in reduction.
So, just to mention, we'll make a debt service payment of $1.59 million, which is, a portion of that is our regular annual interest and or semi-annual interest and annual principal payment, but $985,000 of that is the early call of the 2005 bonds, the principal that would be due 2016, 17, and 18. So that's reducing a future obligation.
Okay. This is not specifically on this bond, but for a future meeting, are we ever going to really pay off the GO and revenue bonds on, Click Jawa? I mean, is any of that been retired, any of it been retired? And, regarding the, Lake Michigan water being brought,
It's been a while since.
or is that like trying to find out if the sewage treatment plants are ever going to be paid off?
No, it's all public record at the county, but it's been a long time since I've looked at their,
But people are still being taxed on it,
yeah,
and that was built, what, 20-plus years ago? Oh, more than that,
yeah.
Did you sniff that out, Larry?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
we'll find out where the bonds are at, or what the.
Well, because it was financed with, what, half revenue and half
General.
GO,
Right.
general obligation, okay. Because now we're adding people, right? I mean, there's gonna be some towns added.
Probably will.
Dave, who's getting added? Volo and, is it Wakanda?
Wakanda, yeah.
Tower Lakes?
Like, that's, I thought that's not that way.
Those are the two that I know.
Okay. All right, Okay, we have a roll call? We have a motion and a second, right? Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz, Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated April 8th, 2015 in the amount of $7,052.52. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions? If not, roll call, please.
Trustees Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz. Schultz.
Motion carries. Approval and B, approval and passage of ordinance 2015-07. An ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a real estate sales contract for the sale of certain vacant real estate owned by the Village of Vernon Hills and the generally described as approximately .32 acres of real estate commonly known as 80 Brook Hill Lane of the Stone Fence Farm subdivision in the Village of Vernon Hills, Lake County. Is there a motion? Is there more? Wait a second.
I can maybe just explain a little bit. So the bids were open on March 17th. The bids were received, total of two. The highest bidder was Icon Building Group in the amount of $135,000. The second bid was from Fidelity Builders Incorporated in the amount of $108,005. A copy of the platted survey and the real estate sales contract was provided to both developers with a written requirement that a signed contract and a certified check or cashier's check of $10,000 would be provided to the village on April 8th prior to the village board meeting. After discussions with Icon Building Group, they opted not to move forward with signing the contract. However, Fidelity Builders, are here tonight. They did provide us a signed copy of the contract as well as a $10,000 cashier's check. And we are looking to have them move forward with acceptance of that contract. So with your acceptance, we'll attach their contract as Exhibit B to the ordinance, and closing the lot will occur within 30 days of adoption of this ordinance.
Did Icon give a reason why they decided to?
They did. They contacted me yesterday, after having just reviewed the contract and has several questions, namely looking at what requirements the HOA might have as it relates to the type of home being built there. At that time, I did inform them of the bylaws that the Stone Fence Farm subdivision HOA does have and does enforce. They did cite that as one of their concerns as it relates to design constraints that they could build there.
So they were looking to build a McMansion, and the constraints limit them, or something to that effect? Or?
They didn't discuss exact details, but the questions they were asking as it relates to side yard setbacks and other requirements did seem to lead to.
Yeah.
All the,
Okay, so that issue is resolved.
Correct.
Okay.
Motion to approve the contract
Second.
with Fidelity.
yep, and second the motion.
Motion is second. Comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz, Williams.
Motion carries. C, approval of passage of resolution 2015-051, a resolution awarding the bid for the 2015 thermoplastic pavement lane marking of village streets as Superior Road stripping, 1-year contract extension and an amount not to exceed $20,000. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion and a second.
I did have the question of concerning whether or not this was enough to complete out Greg's Landing and do all the marking that we had discussed last fall.
Right here. Wait. Oh, I mean.
Point of
hold on.
clarification.
The budgeted dollar amount to answer,
It was up here.
Trustee Schultz's comment. This is a standard dollar amount to pave, to
Yeah, wait.
take care of all the pavement markings throughout the whole village. It does not include that volume for Greg's Landing. If we need to, we would have to raise that dollar amount.
Yeah. I apologize for that.
Yeah, it was-
Uh,
I'm like,
This is, this is unfinished, still under unfinished business. C, approval and passage of ordinance 2015-018, an ordinance granting approval of a special use permit, variations and certain other approvals to allow construction of an educational building at 1120 South Milwaukee Avenue in the village of Vernon Hills, Lake County. Is there a motion to approve?
so made.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustee Schultz.
Even though I voted no during the committee of the whole, I'll vote aye to ensure that this project goes forward.
Markwart.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Schwartz. Williams. Hebda.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Trustee Cook.
Just a quick comment on this. I went to a ceremony down there marking that this was going to be done, and they're very appreciative of everything staff's done to help them through the process and that. It's part of a much larger $160-some million project that's going to take care of several different buildings on several of the campuses and that, and it's very nice to see this particular facility continuing to expand and continuing to bring in students from the southern part of the county, and it's rapidly becoming exactly what we wanted as kind of a cornerstone to that part of the development of the village. So it's they're excited about it, and so are their staff and that, and I think it's a good thing for us.
Okay. Next we have D. What's that? Yeah. Approval and passage of Resolution 2015-046, a resolution adopting an annual budget for the Village of Vernon Hills for the fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2015 and ending April 30th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Larry, what is the total budget this year?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, if I can just extend my gratitude to the board and to staff for all of your hard work on this budget process. And I would like to just clarify that this is a balanced budget, so that's a good thing. The total budget for 2015-2016 is $27,678,659. And included in the budget resolution that's before you this evening are all of the changes that were discussed at the Committee of the Whole meetings on February 10th and on March 3rd, such as the removal of $20,000 from the VHAC budget for synthetic turf that was reallocated to the Deer Path Crabtree Lane Culvert Project, an increase of $1,000 for the Social Service Grant Program, and a reallocation between Public Works, the Resident Benefit Budget, and the Judicial budgets of about $13,000, and that includes the budget changes for the cart barn and the new roof at the Muni. Also included in the budget is $550,000 for the golf course budget. This budget also includes a request for one part-time code enforcement officer and one full-time telecommunicator. And I would be
And what's the capital budget?
The capital portion is, let's see, $2,112,051. That includes
How much was the police department?
police department budget. Okay.
Right, the police department is 3.5 million. It's actually funded out of this year. We're issuing.
Oh, out of the existing,
Right,
okay.
and we'll be bringing actually a resolution next time to amend the budget based on the contracts that were approved at the last meeting.
So that 2 million is pretty much, infrastructure work.
the road program, other capital improvements at VHAC, infrastructure improvements.
Okay, so all right, so the operating budget is 25 million, or 24 to 20?
The operating budget is 22.9 million.
22, okay,
So the total overall budget is 27.
okay. All right. So, okay, is there a motion to approve? We got a second, roll call, please.
Oh, and
Any
Ken,
fir- oh,
I thank Nikki for her work on this, and it's certainly been an easier budget process for me than the last 30, so.
You mean when you didn't have somebody this good? Okay. All right, Larry. Roll call, please.
Trustees Markwart.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Schwartz. Williams. Hebda.
Aye.
Schwartz. Schultz.
Aye.
And for the record, I'd vote aye. Motion carries.
Yes.
Okay, new business in communication, approval and passing of resolution 2015-045, resolution granting approval to operate an outdoor merchandise display and sales establishment for the Home Depot located at 493 North Milwaukee Avenue. Any, trustee Cook.
Mike, looks like it's pretty much identical to the past few years, correct?
That's correct. It's the same location in front of the garden center, same size, 96 by 239 feet. It'd be the white picket fence around the display area. Stop signs and cones would be provided at the drive aisle. If the board were to approve it, they would start installing it as soon as they could. They would be permitted to have it displayed until August 1st, although in past years, we found that Home Depot breaks down the display area prior to that. So pretty much everything's the same as in the past.
Any plans to do anything different than in the past?
No, we would be doing the same as last year.
You're even the same guy, right?
No, sir.
New guy.
He's a
I'm
new
new.
guy.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, motion is second. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustees Hebda.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Schwartz. Williams.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, B, Vernon Hills Park District requests to sublease a portion of the Laschen Center. Jeff, you want to speak to this one, or? And who did you speak to on staff here?
Yes, so good evening. I spoke with John Kalmar probably a month or so ago when Representative Sente came to us with a proposal to sublease some space within Laschen Center. So we vetted through that process with my staff, making sure that there was what we felt was an allocated location that wasn't being used at all, and so there certainly was. And then we just got into conversation about that we would not be doing any kind of building improvements within the space that Representative Sente was inquiring about. Obviously, we need to get approval before the village as the landlords of the property. There's conditions, I believe, John cited within dialogue through me, through just a subletting with our IGA with the village in terms of the leasing agreement we have in use of Laschen, so that that'll certainly be provided. So from our end, we're here tonight to just say we've vetted through this. We're completely fine with the space that they're looking at.
Where is the space?
It's actually, the room within Laschen is called the Sugar Creek Room. So it's the far northwest corner. If you literally look.
Upstairs or downstairs?
It's on the second floor
Yeah.
of the building in the back.
I mean, can I ask a question? Have you ever done this before?
Well, we lease space to a church group.
Right.
Annually. We lease space to the Lions Club annually. They're dedicated rooms for them. We do not charge the Lions Club.
Right.
We do charge the church group. Sullivan Center, we lease space to another church group there as well. Some of the questions that came back from John was making sure that, if there's any other elected officials within, not just, the General Assembly, but, there's senators, there's congressmen that lease space, and in government offices, and we provided that information to John. We wanted to make sure that the county clerk's office didn't have any issues with Representative Sente having an office in a polling center. We got through that process.
What was the answer?
The answer is it's okay. We got that approval through the board chairman, Lake County Board Chairman Aaron Lawler provided that with us through his clerk's office. So those were kind of the initial questions that we received from John that we vetted. We obviously would ask for the board's approval on this tonight. We would prepare a lease agreement. We would provide the content to that agreement per the jurisdiction within the IGA with the village.
Well,
So you would have a copy of that.
Okay, for how many square feet would this be?
The room there is, I think it's about 800 square feet.
Okay, and Carol, where are you at now?
We are at a shopping center that's above Bonta, where Simon Lynn's is. I don't know that that shopping center actually has a name, but we're in Lincolnshire. Are you
Yeah,
familiar with
okay.
that area? So we're on the
How many
second
square
floor.
feet do you have there?
Well, I was sharing the space with Senator Link, and so we had 1,200 square feet
What was the-
together.
What was the monthly there?
Our share was $658 a month.
So it's split evenly?
Yes, we each paid that. Senator Link paid the same amount.
And what are you charging in our building?
We're thinking 1,200. No, I'm kidding. I think we're looking at $300.
Yeah, well, needless to say, you have a budget, Carol, right?
Yes, I
And
did.
you have a budget of how much for office space?
Approximately 67,000 annually.
And you can do what with that?
It has limitations. It is for staff, salary and total compensation. It's for mailing, postage, utilities, and rent. Doesn't go to that far.
Yeah, okay. Well, so be it. I personally, I have an issue having the building used by an elected official. I mean, this is Village Hall, obviously. But, the Park District building, again, I guess if you wanted to use your other building, you wouldn't have to come to us.
True.
Okay. So I'm just letting you know how I feel. And that would be, regardless of the party. I wouldn't want anybody in there, and it also being a polling place, and is it legal? I guess it is, but the perception, I don't know, you're gonna have a sign out there?
So in terms of a sign, and I want to address your other
Right.
comment as well, but the sign, we would have nothing at the front door. We would have a seal in my name on the inside upstairs before you'd walk in, so you'd know you were actually coming into our space, and maybe just have our name down where they have the marquee when you walk in, the little, where are you going for which class or which room, so people actually know to come
But
in.
you admit it'd be highly advantageous for you as opposed to just being in a private building, right?
Being
Because
here
of
would be
people,
very
because there's so many people coming in and out of that building.
Actually, what's advantageous here is a stable landlord that we know and get along with, and the situation's a little bit different where we are now, and frankly, the rent, because we're trying to maximize, it's my goal to have it in people serving the constituents rather than in the rent we pay. The location is not as important. We have very few visitors who actually come to our office. We usually, where most of our visitors come, we're going out to events or we're holding events throughout the district from north to south. Barrett, can you share maybe how many people we have in a month?
It's usually 2 to 3 people a month that come to our office.
So,
I'll open this up to discussion with the rest of the board.
and Mayor, I did want to at least address that this is a very common thing that's done. I see it as there, I don't have the list handy. Aaron Lawler, actually, Chairman Lawler, came up with a list that was greater than some of them that I know. But several of my peers, several, as Jeff said, congressmen and other elected officials have an office in another local governmental body's facilities, and I think the public sees that positively. Like I think they saw Senator Link and I sharing an office positively. We're saving money, it cuts down on costs, and it's using a public building efficiently. Now, in terms of when it's a polling place, there are very strict rules on what we can do, and there would, I mean,
But where you and Senator Link were sharing,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't was it a public building?
no, there was not, that was
Right,
not an example of a
okay.
public building. But it's, we're not cutting new ground here in terms of that this happens
Well, you're
regularly.
cutting new ground, in my opinion, in
I
this
un-
town, so.
Certainly.
Okay. Trustee Cook?
I don't really have a problem with it because I see the same thing in terms of saving, trying to save taxpayer money and stuff like that and being more efficient. What would the appropriate motion be to, direct staff to prepare a lease agreement? Is that, I mean?
The lease agreement would ultimately have to come back before you
Okay.
for approval, so, yeah, under the existing sublease, any, under the existing leasing sublease has to be approved by the village board. So
Yeah.
since the document's not before you, it would ultimately have to come back.
So would we be preparing or,
Staff will be preparing the necessary resolution granting the sublease, and it'll be subject to review and approval of the proposed lease by our village attorney.
okay, motion to that extent then?
I'll second the motion.
Is there any other comments or questions? Trustee Hebda?
How did you come up with the $300 rent number? Just,
That was just something that Representative Sente and I
okay.
came to just an agreement on.
Is that in
just to-
line with what you're charging? I mean, I know the church is bigger. I just want to make sure that other leasers
more.
say,
Yeah, it's
you're
more.
not cutting a deal here.
Right.
That you're being fair to everyone who is.
Yeah, fair question. I mean, it's more than what we're charging our other renters. And for example, the church, which has a space of a couple thousand square
Right,
feet.
plus the saloon, too.
So,
Okay,
Okay,
just want to make sure.
any other comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Schultz,
Aye.
Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz, Williams, Hebda.
Aye.
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Have a
Can I
nice
just,
evening.
can I just add a couple of quick, short plugs too? I know, Dave, we were talking about Arbor Day earlier, but, John and I have been working with, Hotel Registry is kindly and generously going to be donating 150 trees to the community of Vernon Hills as part of their 150th anniversary. And I've been working with their branding manager. They came to my office probably within the last 10 days. The Leahy Family Foundation is doing this as a great and generous contribution to the village. So I'm going to be working with John and Dave in terms of placement of the trees. Obviously, most of them we're working with the parks, but they made it very emphatic that they work closely with the police department and the fire department, and so they wanted to make sure that trees were donated to those properties. So, and these are not, we've requested 2-inch, minimum of 2-inch trees, so they're going to be nice, mature trees. So I wanted to share that with the board. It'll probably be fall of this year before we get those planted, but just a welcome. That's a welcome phone call.
Maybe you want to discuss it with the folks at Kemper or whatever also, because we lost a large number of trees on the golf course this past year due to the Emerald Ash
Yeah,
Borer, and
I think
they're looking at, I don't believe they had funding really set aside
Okay.
for reforestation per se, so.
Yeah, so John and I will be getting together with the Leahy family. They're on an extended trip right now, and once they get back, we'll sit down with them and their branding, and we'll just kind of decipher. But, thank you.
Very well. Is there any other new business or communication to come before the board?
Are we going to send out our usual letters of congratulations to those who were recently
Oh, yeah,
elected?
absolutely. you know.
So that'd be-
We're gonna swear everybody in, what, in the first meeting in May?
Yep.
That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't call in today, but usually I do, but certainly the school board and, you know, the
Yep.
library board and the park board and whatever other boards serve.
2 school boards, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, 4 school boards. Keep forgetting. 5 school boards, I guess, really. Mundelein High. And potentially, I guess, West Oak,
Oh, yeah.
Diamond Lake, 76.
Okay,
We will need a motion to go into closed session to discuss land acquisition.
okay. And we will not come back out
Correct.
to discuss anything else at committee of the whole. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the board meeting and go to committee of the whole?
So made. Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz, Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. Is there a motion to approval of committee of the whole meeting minutes of March 17th, 2015?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions, corrections, deletions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz, Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, request from Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, to enter into a lease agreement with the village for placement of antenna facilities on the Police Telecommunication Tower, 740 North Lakeview Parkway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Verizon would co-locate with Clear Wireless and AT&T on the taller of the 2 poles located behind the telecommunication facility. Verizon would place their antenna at the 90-foot elevation. Clear Wireless is currently at the 120-foot elevation, AT&T at the 110-foot elevation. The village has its platform at the 100-foot elevation. That's what we use for our microwave antennas. And again, Verizon would be at the 90-foot elevation. The existing masonry wall enclosure that's there now would be enlarged by approximately 21 feet by 40 feet to accommodate their cellular equipment. The design, material, and color of the enlarged enclosure would match that of the existing. As with past leases, the initial term would be for 5 years. Verizon would be entitled to renew the lease for 5 additional and successive 5-year terms. The annual revenue realized by the village would be $24,000 with a 4% annual escalator. With approval of this lease, the total yearly revenue for all cell leases approved by the village board would be $167,000, and all those leases have the 4% escalator. That would include T-Mobile at Public Works, the 3 providers I mentioned at the police department, Clearwire and T-Mobile at the Village Hall, and then Verizon has another site at our Metropole. Attached to your packet are the plans, the site plan, and the draft lease. And for tonight's meeting, if the committee feels the lease is appropriate, a motion directing staff to prepare a resolution authorizing the village to enter into a lease agreement with Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, is recommended, subject to the terms referenced in the lease agreement, and also subject to final review and approval by the village attorney and village engineer. And a representative of Verizon is here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, I'll open it up to the board. Any questions?
No. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. If no questions, roll call.
Trustees Schwartz, Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
The question was, what did the name?
Excuse me. Yeah, okay. We should have had him up here just to answer that.
Go ahead.
No. Okay, not so fast, no. Okay, next item is Lakeview Fairway, Route 60, Hawthorn Parkway improvements. All of the above.
Thank you very much. Civil Tech Engineering is here to help with the presentation. While they're setting up, just a brief background. So Fairway Drive in Lakeview has been discussed for many years. The goal for tonight is to bring the board up to date, kind of reminder of how we got to this location. And we wanted to also spend some time with you as far as different options. They will go through more of the specifics, but just a general background would be, as part of Fairway Drive being extended through the Nike base, I guess that's a VHAC. It was the Nike base at the time. So Fairway Drive was extended from 45 to 60, and as part of that, we've always anticipated there'd be some sort of widening of the roadway. When's that right time? That's what we need to discuss. So we have moved forward with engineering plan and construction on large parts of the project, and specifically in since the downturn of the economy in 2008, we ended up really reviewing whether or not we should move forward with the project or not. A year ago, I asked Civil Tech to look at not just the overall project, but each intersection and how we might phase this. Really, what's the most important components of the project and what's the associated costs? So with that, I'll share it with Mary, and she can give you some of the background.
Okay. I'm going to start with a bit of a history lesson. Some of you may have been here 17 years ago when the project started, like I was. Some of you may not have been.
Can you maybe use the handheld mic so that the folks at home?
Sure.
Thanks.
This exhibit.
You need to turn it on.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
No. Wait,
No?
there it goes.
There we go.
There you go.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The first exhibit that I have here shows the overall project that Dave was talking about. 17 years ago, the village started a preliminary engineering study for extending Fairway Drive through the Nike base down to Route 45. The colors here on purple and brown were the limits of that original study. They included Fairway from 45 all the way up to 60, as well as a portion of Lakeview between Fairway and 60 as well. That study was really kind of a master plan. We looked long range at what would potentially be needed for the village in this area. And as Dave said, ultimately it was planned that all of these roadways would be 4-lane roadways, 2 lanes in each direction. The 2-lane roadways have served the village very well throughout almost the entire design life of the project. What is in purple on here is work that has already been completed. The area in brown are areas where additional work have not been done yet, based upon what's in the master plan. So about maybe 8 years ago, 8 years ago, Dave approached us and said, we think it's time to look at this brown area. We should be looking at these intersections and maybe widening the roadways. So we started down that path of doing engineering studies. We came up with a cost estimate for doing that work. In addition to this little green area up here on top, at that time it was the Hawthorn intersection with Lakeview. There were some problems there, congestion. Dave said, let's add that onto this as well. Let's look at it all together. So we did some cost estimating, and overall we estimated that doing all of that work in brown and green on here would be about $10 million total construction costs, and the village's portion of that would be about $4.5 million. The rest of it would come from federal grants. Something else happened 7 or 8 years ago, and that involved the economy. And all of a sudden, traffic volumes went down. The economic situation was just not at a point where the village could move forward with such a project. So the project went dormant for quite a while. And then, as Dave said, about a year ago, he contacted Civil Tech to have us look at this northern section again, kind of this complex of intersections, and take a completely different look at it and say, ultimately all these improvements would probably still be needed here, but what should we be focusing on right now? Funds are limited. Are there things that we can be doing now and kind of project out a plan for maybe the next 5 to 10 years to try to accomplish some of these things? And maybe some of these things aren't even needed anymore at this point. So it was to take a fresh look at the overall project, which is what we did. And we in looking at the area, we really decided that there's 3 staging components that make sense. And the first is this yellow area here, which is the intersection of Lakeview Parkway, 60, as well as the Hawthorn Parkway intersection. You really can't do one of those intersections without doing the other one because they are so close to one another. They both have operational problems associated with them, as I'm sure you know. At those intersections, most of the green time associated with the traffic signal is given to Route 60. North-south movements experience significant congestion during many hours of the day. So the yellow area was something that we thought we could break out as a standalone project. Another phase that could, the second stage would be the intersection at Fairway and 60. Again, this would be an improvement to add capacity. Again, the north-south movements experience congestion at that location. And then a third phase would be this blue section down here, which is the segment of Lakeview Parkway between Fairway and Phillip. And that would also be a capacity improvement, which would add a lane in each direction along Lakeview Parkway. This is probably the least important section right now in regard to a capacity improvement. If you look at traffic volumes out there, a 2-lane road can easily handle the traffic that's there and even projected into the future, 15, 20 years. That what's out there now is going to serve you well. The problem out there is the pavement, as Dave can talk about. The pavement is in poor condition and in need of resurfacing. And so instead of looking at a capacity improvement along that section, we would say let's look at resurfacing that area. To talk about funding, this first stage would be about a $2.5 million project. We would look to the Lake County Council of Mayors to get federal money, which would be funded at about a 70-30, depending on whether or not it's right-of-way acquisition or construction dollars. So associated with this yellow project, the first stage, the village's share would be about $1 million.
So it's 60 and Lakeview?
At 60 in Lakeview and at Lakeview and Hawthorn Parkway. They would be tied together as one project.
Well, it would cost how much to do those 2 intersections?
A total of $2.5 million.
$1 million being the village cost.
Correct.
So it's like a 50-50.
A lot of it depends on right-of-way acquisition. The village, or the Lake County Council of Mayors does not fund right-of-way acquisition. So any right-of-way would be on
And that would
villages.
include the widening?
Mhm.
And so what will we have, Mary, going north on Lakeview towards 60? Would that be?
We would have dual left turn lanes. We would have 2 through lanes.
Yeah. And then a right turn lane?
There would not be a need for a right turn lane with that
Because you
additional
have
through
2.
lane, 2 through lanes, correct.
And we just got, what, 1 of each? What is
There's
it now?
duals, I believe there's duals there and a single
And a
through,
Single.
single
And
through
that's
lane.
what causes.
That's
that.
what causes with the right
Yeah.
turners, yes,
Okay.
exactly. At Hawthorn and Lakeview, that's kind of an unusual intersection because the signal is split phased. You don't see too many of those around the area. It's very inefficient. The reason that it operates split phase is because the lanes don't line up across the intersection
Right.
properly.
Right.
So you can't have the left turn movements going concurrently.
Yeah.
So you have one direction go and then the other direction go, and that's very inefficient from a traffic signal standpoint. And so this project would fix that as well.
What would how wide would Hawthorn Parkway be at that intersection?
Right at the intersection going, let's say going eastbound.
Yes.
There would be a left turn lane, a through lane, and a right turn lane.
Yeah, because now the through lane and the right turn lane are the same? Is
No,
that-
the left turn lane and the through lane are the same.
Okay. Yeah, but then you would obviously have to do something or at the shopping center itself.
That's correct.
Now, would that be those folks we would look to for, like, isn't that Inland's property? Would we look to them for any kind of contribution?
We had conversations when the signal at Target was constructed. We had conversations with Target, so I suspect we would also have
What,
conversations.
do we have money or just conversations from Target? Conversations swell, but, You know, I have conversations all day long. It doesn't necessarily cost me a penny.
Point well taken. We'll take it past the
So we didn't
conversation
necessarily get any
standpoint.
money out of Target. Okay, well, anyway, but that would help, obviously, immensely at those two locations. So, okay, fine. Mary, you keep going.
No, it's okay. To point out another benefit that would occur as a result of this improvement is that if you're northbound on Lakeview Parkway and you're trying to turn left to westbound onto Hawthorn, the left turn storage bay there is very short. It's about 75 feet. You can get 3, maybe 4 cars into that left turn bay before it overflows into a through lane, which blocks a through lane
Right,
of traffic,
right.
which impacts operation. As part of this project, we would extend that storage bay to about 350 feet. So we would quadruple the amount of storage that we could get those left turners out of the through lane of travel, which you'll see a big benefit because of that.
Well, I mean, do we have traffic counts? I mean, you got them, I know you do. But I mean, like, you get 17 years, you ought to have something, right? But in essence, what do we, like, on holiday weekends when, people are going nuts shopping, you know what I mean? And that could go on for weeks, what kind of counts do we get out of those intersections?
Well, first of all, we don't count on holiday weekends or
Okay.
holiday shopping. There's no way we could ever design a roadway to actually handle that traffic.
But this would certainly assist people.
It would definitely
to circulate,
improve.
go
Yes.
buy their stuff from us.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yes.
that's not a bad thing, right? Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So we would recommend that the 2 intersections here on Lakeview, that they be the first sections that be looked at, in addition to resurfacing the segment of Lakeview Parkway between Phillip and Fairway Drive. Dave had his folks do a quick cost estimate of that, and he estimates that that resurfacing would be about $300,000. That's something, again, we could go to the Lake County Council of Mayors and ask for their participation at a 70-30 split. So,
That'd be $100,000?
It'd be $100,000 that the village could, I think, see some.
Yep,
benefits there.
and we're far enough along where we should be able to get, the green light from them, as far as with our engineering.
Yes, we have moved along quite a bit. I would say we would probably still be looking at a 2017 letting.
Right.
Just because of the processing that's required through.
And that wouldn't be just for the light blue, that would be for everything.
It could be for everything, if the village
So
decided
it's
they want to
a
do the
couple
whole
of
thing.
years out.
Yeah, it's still a couple of years out from construction.
Okay. The board wants to ask any questions.
Well,
Okay.
the purple is just basically an intersection improvement where, again, we would add a northbound through lane and then a southbound dual left turn lane. Again, you'd see the benefit there because you're providing more capacity for those north-south movements that are not getting the time because it's all going to Illinois Route 60. It's a pretty straightforward intersection improvement. That's a little less than $2 million. Total cost, it would be about $700,000 in cost to the, did I say 200,000? I meant 2 million.
Right.
2 million,
Yeah.
a little under 2 million. Total construction cost and about $700,000 cost to the village to do that if federal
Right,
money was
right.
received. So those were our findings that we presented to Dave.
Yeah, and if I could help, so I think what this new analysis has done, before we were following a master plan, the master plan said we should continue through, we should add capacity, and we looked at the dollar amount. The dollar amount, with the village contribution being, $4.5 million or so, it's a lot of money. So that's why I wanted to look at, looking at each intersection. Where do we spend our money more wisely? Where do we get more benefit? And so what I've really learned from spending time with Civil Tech is, For Hawthorn Parkway, the village portion, after we go to the council of mayors to get the money, would be $1 million. If we can add on the stretch, basically, from the police building to the post office, that $300,000, if we can have someone else pay, 70%
Sure.
of the cost
Sure.
for a simple resurfacing, when you add the 1 million with the 100,000, that's 1.1 million, it starts becoming the size of an annual road project, where if we did the entire project, that would end up being 3.5 to 4 years of road projects. So
Right.
that's what I've learned through the process, and I think Hawthorn at Lakeview, there are merits for, doing the improvements, getting away from split phase timing at that main intersection, and also the northbound from 60 going towards Hawthorn,
Right.
extending that left turn lane in that capacity. I think that is where I see a lot of value.
Well, would we make some of the medians mountable? Or would you want to leave them?
It's such a large project that it's hard for me to figure out where the median should or shouldn't be. Some areas we definitely want to have barrier medians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, leave that up to you guys, but.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's not that painful a process, capital project, if we get the help from the council of mayors.
In the Council of Mayors, we've had conversations of the larger project with them, and they said, if you get your project ready, we will have the money to fund it. So if this was something we wanted to do for 2017, we would talk with the county, they would, move forward with the money. We just have to decide at our level, at the village board level, is this something we want to do or not?
Right. Trustee Schultz?
All right, I can only speak anecdotally, so I will use that as my base of reference. It's been 8 years since I commuted on a regular basis eastbound on Route 60. So things have changed, but during that period of time from 8 years ago to 16 years prior, during that period, I would take Hawthorn Parkway on a regular basis from Butterfield to avoid 60. And even during that peak period, up to and including through the Great Recession, we were able to get through that intersection much quicker through that entire length of roadway than on Route 60. So, and that's even with the dysfunction at the intersection of Hawthorn Parkway and Lakeview. So while that is kind of problematic, I don't see it as being a dire situation that needs remedy. Ergo, also anecdotally, a significant amount of traffic siphons off Lakeview onto Phillips to make their left turn on to go westbound on 60 via Deer Path.
Yeah.
So therefore, even though that is a relatively shallow staging, storage area, whatever you wish to call it, I don't see that backing up that frequently, even during rush hour. And I've had, subsequent to that earlier period of time I talked about, picking up kids at the what used to be the YMCA, and then also at the current facility that it is now during rush hour periods, and not having seen that really dramatic of a backup. So I'm not really convinced that your phase one there is really in need of our attention, especially seeing as how our own internal roadways, we're spending well over $1 million, and we've already lost, 20-some thousand with this last sweep, based on the state making its budget. So we are running a deficit, so to speak, with regard to the MFT and our own road funds or roadway expenditures to keep our own collector and residential streets up to date. The one area, again, anecdotally, that I see as being extremely problematic is because there isn't that much siphoning off of Fairway as it goes up to and crosses 60 to connect with Ring Road. And I've always suggested that there isn't a need for 2 left turn lanes at that intersection, and that we should have 2 through lanes, allowing then for one of the through lanes to accommodate right on red, which would greatly increase the flow capability of Fairway right now. So, and that project doesn't require any adjustment to the pavement, at least in my mind. Now, I know a traffic engineer can make an argument in favor of realignment, but I can see just the lights being readjusted, so to speak, to take one left turn lane out, and that would improve the flow through there dramatically, I believe. So I see that as the more problematic of all the intersections that are currently in play here in this discussion. Granted, we can do the yellow and the blue for a limited number of dollars, but I don't think we're buying a whole lot, especially seeing as how, again, with the way the state is looking at our monies, that we can be spending additional money on that. And I can see that, at least anecdotally, again, we get bigger bang for the buck working out the 60/Fairway/Ring Road intersection.
Really? Okay, well, what kind of traffic counts do we have at 60 and Fairway?
Joel, I
And
think,
Ring Road, or, you know?
Joel, I think one of the areas we're looking at is Fairway with the dual lefts onto 60. I know that is a major
Right.
movement, westbound
It is.
PM.
Those dual left turn lanes northbound are required there based upon the volumes. I don't know exactly what they are, but Joel can grab that for me. And I agree wholeheartedly that a through lane, northbound through lane, would make a dramatic improvement there. You can't just take out one of the left turn lanes, though, because then your left turn lanes wouldn't line up across the intersection, and you'd have to have a split face signal, similar to the way
All
Hawthorn
right,
is
well,
right now.
I guess then if I was going to spend any money on paving, it would be the land acquisition and the construction of a right turn lane with 300 feet of staging or storage.
The problem is not right turners there. The right turners are less than 150 vehicles in the peak hour, which is not even on the threshold of necessarily needing a
How
right
many
turn lane.
total cars go through
It's a left-hand turn.
Do
that
you have the
lane?
totals?
The left turns,
Right,
right turns are
and through.
in the,
Yeah, so 130 turn right, how many go straight?
240.
So.
How many turn
that-
left?
That's,
That's,
270 turn left.
yep.
yeah, so what it says is we need one more right turn lane, another through lane
Or through,
to allow for right turn.
No, it's for the right turn on red, yes, exactly,
straight and right.
yes.
And that's where I'd spend the money.
Okay. Larry Nacron.
Mary, did any of those numbers include land acquisition costs? And if,
They did. They all included land acquisition costs. What they did not include were estimates for utility relocations. Until we do really detailed designs, we can't estimate what those are, and those are very variable depending on where you're at on the project. In some locations, as you know, there's utility easements along the corridors where if we're impacting them, then that becomes a project cost and not a utility company cost. So we don't have a good handle on those right now.
And those are shorter segments compared to, one of our decision points on that third stage between the police building and the post office was that's where there was a lot of utility relocation, right-of-way acquisition, and that started, when we looked at cost benefits, started pushing that towards the end of the list.
One thing to note, though, is land acquisition is not going to be eligible for being refunded. So we will be paying the full cost of
Right,
that.
right.
And that's built into the price.
Is there a grading system for the improvement, the overall improvement of an intersection? In other words, if, say that, let's talk about Hawthorn and Lakeview. If that gets a grade of 65, which makes it barely pass, or make it 66, and we're giving Fs at 65 and below.
Well, we do use a grading
Okay.
system
right.
at levels A through F, and
Okay.
it's all based upon a delay, how much delay
Right.
each
So
vehicle
where-
experiences.
Based on those three intersections, where are they at grade-wise, and where would they be after the fact?
Something that is very important is that when we do analyses, we look at overall intersection operation, but this is kind of an unusual area because IDOT controls the traffic signal timing on Route 60. They say that their traffic is going to move better than what goes on the cross street. So you can't really look at an overall intersection average because it's going to average to be a C or a D because the IDOT traffic is moving at a level A or a level B. And the cross street might be at an F or an E, which is what we see at these intersections. On here at Lakeview and 60, the northbound and southbound approaches each operate at a level of service E, which is basically 60 seconds of delay per every vehicle that goes through that intersection.
Okay, after your proposed improvements there?
After the proposed improvement, it would be a level of service of C with about 30 seconds of delay, so it would be cut in half.
So at Lakeview and Hawthorn, existing PM, because that's the leg we're really trying to improve, is C. If we do nothing, 2040, it will be a level of service of E. If we make the improvements, we can keep it at the same level as it is now for 25 years out.
That's at Hawthorn, you said, right?
Yeah, Hawthorn and Lakeview.
Hawthorn.
And what's the letter grade there now?
Pardon me?
At Hawthorn and Lakeview?
Hawthorn and Lakeview, the overall intersection operates at
They've said C.
C, at C.
Yes.
At
Oh,
C.
okay.
Which is why I used that 8
Yes.
years ago to avoid 60.
Exactly, that's exactly right. And sim-
And we get 60 in Lakeview, PM is a D right now. Correct?
It's a D, and if we don't, if we do nothing, it will be a level of service of F in 2040. If we make the improvements, it will improve in 2040 to a level of service of C.
25 years, huh? Yeah, a lot of us would be pushing up daisies. Okay, well, I mean, this doesn't seem like I guess an insurmountable amount. I thought it was higher for 60 and Hawthorne Parkway. Now, granted, I agree, easement right of way has to be purchased principally from, well, Taxman, and then whoever runs Turner's building, and then what, Inland?
Inland, who will be making improvements to, and I'm sure as part of the more than discussions, we'd be talking to them about right-of-way and improvements.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the shopping center, I mean, they keep telling us periodically they're gonna, revamp it dramatically. what was the use they wanted to throw in there? No, there was something they wanted to put in there. There was a significant use, and it would pull all the stores out, and, you know, they'd be gone. Oh, my God. That Scott Carr had mentioned something to me about that. That's, you know, okay, that's, you know, probably sometime in the future, but you never know. It could be sooner than you think if they wanted to really move on it. Okay, well, I mean, I'll just, and any other comments or questions from the board on this? I mean, Larry, so are we totally indigent?
No, but
No.
we have not, you know, I think we've emphasized all along during the budget process that our capital projects would have to be prioritized, and we have a list of projects. We also, you know, have things going on in Springfield that aren't in our long-term model. So I
But on
think
something
we-
like this, if we kept progressing to where maybe this is gonna happen in a couple of years, we ought to have some idea. We should have some idea before the end of this year, what's
Right.
coming out of Springfield.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think later this year, next few months, we will be having a discussion of our overall capital priorities.
Right.
And, you know, so I think it would be, we need to measure this in context of all the projects. that
You know, I
we're
mean, is
doing.
there any traction for the personal income tax reduction?
That's one of the uncertainties that we really
Oh, I
want to make sure we
didn't say a certain, I'm just, is there any traction for it amongst, I mean, every town in the state said no. Was there 1,200 towns? You know? No prognostications coming from our cracked financial
Oh,
department?
I'm sorry, what was? the
Well, it was germane to the personal income tax being reduced by 50%. Is there any traction for that?
I think there are only 5 people who know.
Oh, and they aren't here.
Yeah, they aren't here.
I mean, I know 3 for sure. Who are the other 2? Cullerton, Madigan, and Rauner, and who else?
Right, the minority leaders of both houses.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah, well, okay, well, I'd go with the big 3 there. So, anyway,
I'm just looking at the sweep, although, again, it was nominal, but it's 25,000, boom, just disappeared, just like that, from MFT, give or take, you know, rounding error or whatever, but, so, you know, and that passed not unanimously, but, so there are ways to get everybody in alignment to take money.
well, you know, but we gotta be realistic, too. I mean, we're not gonna grind and overlay the whole town every year, you know, in sections in perpetuity.
Well, by the time we get done, we're going to need to start over again.
I mean,
Well, I understand that part, but
And it's
if there,
costing us $1.25 million.
okay, but at some point, if there's, you know, really a need to do a true improvement, you know? So is this one of these, you wait, you don't do anything now, and then what does it cost 5 years from now? I mean, it's like, you know, Route 53, it's like Route 45, you know? I mean, it's not gonna get cheaper, it's just gonna get more expensive, you know? So, you know, again, if you're saying, what, 2 million for these 2 intersections? Lakeview and 60 off of, and Hawthorn, Parkway, and Lakeview, the green. Couple of $1 million, the whole thing, plus
Total,
land acquisition.
$2.5 million construction and land acquisition, total about $1 million of
Right.
village money.
Okay.
so you're saying a total of $1 million of village money for all the phases?
No,
No,
just those
Just the
2.
yellow.
Just the-
Another 300,000 for the turquoise or teal.
That is the grind.
But if we combine the turquoise and teal with the other, that total project would be around $1.1 million. If we do nothing, that teal is still going to cost us $300,000. We need to jump across the street and pave the others. We've been deferring that area if you've driven through for
Right.
quite a while, so we have to do something already.
But we're
So if
do-
we're going to spend $600,000 on just resurfacing, do we consider doing some enhancements, use the 70% match, and spend $1.1 million?
And I guess my point, though, is that the 1.1 is going to help for 2040. I think, though, we need help right now on the purple, and, you know, that's where I think our priority really needs to be for today, for those of us that are not pushing up daisies yet.
Well, I think it's important to note that we want to make sure that discussion isn't operated or discussed in a vacuum. And as was noted with the MFT and the ongoing state financial crisis, there are a lot of moving parts, not just with state funding, with federal funding, and with our own existing MFT road projects at that funding level. And so really what we're looking for here tonight is just a recommendation from the board if you want us to continue to work with Civil Tech to continue refining the numbers, looking at different alternatives, but also have an understanding that a prioritization of projects needs to be done to make sure that this project, if it's a priority to the village, is taken into consideration for all the projects in the village, because unfortunately we don't have a magic piggy bank that's going to be able to fund and afford all of this. And the council, the Lake County Council with STP funding has limited revenue sources that may also be impacted. So, and plus with the pavement management study that's going to be finalized later this summer, we want to have a broader discussion. and so really I think what we're looking for tonight is just a recommendation if you'd like us to continue working with Civil Tech on these, and then we can put forth a more robust recommendation over the overall capital projects within the village.
And
Yeah, well, yeah, that's all well and good. I'm just sitting here going, okay, when will the council of mayor's money be gone because somebody else, I guess, grabs it? You know what I mean?
Well, there's an
If
annual
there's actually
allocation.
funding there, that's kind of scary within reason, right? There's actually money.
Well, each council
You know.
receives a portion from CMAP, from STP funding, and that's divvied out each year.
Yeah. Well, okay, you know, but I mean, it's only so much. And where does it come from?
Federal.
Okay, and it's gas tax.
yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, again, you know, Larry, I know is conservative as the day is long, you know, but I don't think we're anywhere close to our total bonding capacity as a village.
Right, but,
Is it still between 5 and 8% of our,
right, but,
you know.
but we would never be able to afford with our existing revenue streams to pay off a debt structure like that.
what debt structure?
If
What
we,
amount?
if we were to do, you know, what we had talked about in the financial plan was basically doing $6 billion of new debt over the next couple of years. And, you know, while we didn't identify the project, we didn't specifically identify this one, certainly. So what I'm saying is we're going to have to determine what our priorities are, and, you know, I don't think we want to go ahead and do more than that level of debt financing.
You mean $5 or $6 million?
Right, right.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I'll defer to the board. I mean, you know, some of this stuff, though, it's just going to get worse as time goes on. And, you know, we could study it. I guess just keep studying it.
Well, I think,
You know.
to Joe's point, you're looking for concurrence to continue towards making an application for the council mayor's funding, and I'd be more than happy to make a motion for a resolution to support that.
In just that glib of an anecdotal history.
No, my point
Wait,
being
mean
is
mean
that,
to study, mean to apply for what portion of this? Or you want the purple?
well, no, I think whatever makes the most economic sense at this juncture, it seems as though for 1.1, we get a lot of roadway. And we're going to have to figure out a way to pony up for whatever, 2.5 or whatever it's going to cost to do the purple. Unless we can move forward with some other alternative.
Could we get the funds to do Phillips Road too? Or is that just going to be done this year in our road improvement?
As part of the road program, we're taking care of Phillip to the bridge.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, yeah, I mean, does anybody else have any thoughts on this, or does everybody concur with trustee Schultz.
Well, correct. I believe when you end up talking 600,000 versus basically everything for 1.3 or 1.1, I think that would be the better choice.
Again, we don't know exactly what these numbers are going to be, so I always want to be cautious with just providing a number because.
But we're
I don't know.
not doing, with the blue, you're not doing any easement procurement. You don't have to worry about moving utilities. This is grind and overlay time, of which 300 grand we throw in 100 grand, we get a $300,000 project.
Exactly.
And then the two intersections is, what, the $2 million bucks? Plus our share.
In a
Our
past
share.
life, I was a budget analyst, and I haven't seen a letter saying we've gotten the money, so I would be reluctant
Well,
to
I
say
know,
that it's
that's
there.
why I'm the one who asked to put this on the agenda, because I had a meeting with Dave and Mary, and, it's kind of like, okay, and they keep telling me there's money through the Council of Mayors.
And of that 1 million, we're looking at potentially some dollars that we may recoup from inland and/or others.
Right.
Yep.
So from an economic standpoint, yeah, we need to pursue that.
Okay. All right, so we got the motion. Want to read that motion back, or?
And if I could ask for
pick-
some quick clarity, because we would have to direct Civil Tech and talk to the mayors and council of mayors to do certain things. And I know there's been some different views, whether we should be looking at purple or whether we should be looking at yellow and turquoise. At least my recommendation, and if Trustee Schultz agrees, we would work with Civil Tech to work with the Council of Mayors to try to move forward with the yellow as far as the reconstruct.
From the blue.
And then the blue would be resurfacing, and that would be the direction that we would ask Civil Tech to work through with LDOT, Council of Mayors.
Okay, so it's a quasi-synopsis with an addendum to Trustee Schultz's motion.
Thank you, sir.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustees Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Yep. Now, Dave, you got to figure some stuff out too, right? We better start calling Scott Carr now. He's the inland guy. We got a deal for you, Scott. Call the Wendy's guy. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn, go into closed session to discuss land acquisition?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call, please.
Trustees Williams, Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz.
Motion carries. Thank you and good night. We will not be coming out again.